You live again? All right, welcome back, everybody. I messed the first one up, so we're gonna hop in there again. This is gonna be my final article I'm gonna read on Bruce's Beach for now. Um, and hopefully you guys learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot um about this. And again, I'm happy the family got they land back. Hopefully this can open doors for other egregiouses like this and bad use of illegal eminent domain, whatever they call that. But this is from NPR.org, and start. A black family got their beach back and inspired others to fight against land theft. This was October 10th, 2021, and Dwayne Yellowfeather stands at the top of a narrow park that slopes downward towards a lifeguard training center and panoramic views of the Pacific coast. And this is the gentleman, Mr. Dwayne Yellowfeather Shepherd. Um, One sec. Okay. We're looking over the horizon at a beautiful, beautiful ocean. Shepherd says, "It's blue, serene, it's quiet. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous view." For Shepherd, this oceanfront park known as Bruce's Beach, located in Manhattan Beach, California, just south of Los Angeles, holds a painful history. This is the land that our family used to own, he says. And let me see. Mm, Shepherd's ancestors, an African American couple named Charles and Willa Bruce, owned this land a century ago. The couple built a beachfront resort called Bruce's Beach Lodge in 1912 and welcomed black beachgoers with a resort, a restaurant, a dance hall, and changing tents with bathing suits for rent. But the Bruces were run out of Manhattan and forced to shut down their successful resort. Their property was seized by the city and they lost their fortune. For years, the land was owned by the County of Los Angeles until last month, when California passed a law that allowed the property to be transferred back to the couple's descendants. The historic Bruce's Beach case is inspiring social justice leaders and reparations activists to fight for their black families whose ancestors were also victims of land theft in the United States. And again, well, like in my last live, this is a wedding photo of Mr. Charles and Willa Bruce. Um, a black resort faced harassment from white neighbors. Shepard, a cousin of the direct descendant of Charles and Willa Bruce, says Bruce's Beach offered a refuge for black patrons during the Jim Crow era. There weren't many areas where black people could get into the water along the entire coast of California at that time. Shepard, who's 70, tells NPR he's a clan chief of the oh Pocasset Wampanoag tribe of the Pokanoket Nation. I sincerely apologize for messing that all up. Yeah, but I thought that was odd. He had a yellow feather in the middle there. So he is of some Aboriginal American Indian descent. Yeah, the nation. Bruce's Beach was a place where people could go have social functions, he says. You have black entertainers, actors and actresses, jazz artists, black politicians, as well as business owners and socialites. Right here is a two photos. This is Bruce's Beach in 1915. There's it right there, and then this is Bruce's Beach almost 100 years later in 2021. However, some white residents of Manhattan Beach feared an invasion by the African American community, according to local historian Robert L. Brigham's 1956 Fresno State master's thesis, Land Ownership and Occupying by Negroes in Manhattan Beach, California. While residents set up barricades to keep black beachgoers from getting to the ocean, and the Ku Klux Klan, active along the California coast, reportedly planned attacks against the Bruce's resort. Ain't read about that in the last few ones. Interesting. Oh, the Klan was active there. Man, that's not surprising. They slashed tires, burned mattresses under the porch of the resort. They tried to blow up a gas meter of one of the residents here. Shepard says they had 24/7 phone campaigns and made threats against Willa and her family. The city of Manhattan Beach seized the resort. In November 1923, a white realtor named George H. Lindsay approached Manhattan Beach's Board of Trustees with an option to condemn Bruce's Beach through the Park and Playground Act of 1909. According to an April 13, 2021 report by the Bruce's Beach Task Force, a resident-led task force appointed by the Manhattan Beach City Council last year. And that was by 1924. Manhattan Beach officials invoked eminent domain, claiming the city would build a public park over 30 lots, including the Bruce's land and four other lots owned by African American families. His park visitor playing with his son. Bunch of Bruce's Beach Resort was shuttered and demolished, and the property was sat vacant for decades. Willa and Charles Bruce requested $120,000 for both damages and the value of their property, but the city granted them $14,500. That's criminal. Today, the two parcels of land are worth an estimated $75 million. Mercy. On September 30th, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed SB 796, authorizing the county to transfer the land back to the Bruce family after nearly 100 years. On Tuesday, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to begin a process of transferring the land. That process will also include confirming the Bruce's rightful heirs. Today, we are making history, Newsom said at the ceremony held on Bruce's Beach. I'm proud to be here, not just for the descendants of the Bruce family, but for all of those families torn asunder because of racism. This is another photo of some couples on Bruce's Beach in 1920, enjoying their time out. Black black landowners have faced eminent domain abuse for generations. Um, Sorry. Bruce's Beach stand as just one example of land theft that's taking place across the United States through violence, intimidation, and legal maneuvers. For generations, landowners like Willa and Charles Bruce have been victimized by eminent domain abuse and unjust property laws. One of the reasons why the Bruce's case has been generating so much attention is because it represents the first instance in the history of the United States where an African American family or community that had their property taken unjustly ended up having it returned, says Thomas W. Mitchell, a property law scholar at Texas A&M University. He's worked to reform discriminatory policies that have stripped African Americans of their land. Mitchell is part of a research team called the Land Loss and Reparations Research Project. which is trying to put a economic value on agricultural land unjustly taken from black farmers over the last 100 years. Oh, that's something else I can look into. Um, our research team has come up with a preliminary estimate of 300 billion. Mitchell says, noting that it only accounts for the farmland itself. We're also going further and saying that as a result of losing this land, we lost the ability to benefit from the land ownership in terms of families getting loans to send their children to college, which then has a negative impact on economic mobility, and that's just black farmers. Mitchell estimates a total loss of generational wealth for black Americans across the US falls into the trillions. I'm gonna take a slight break here. A preliminary estimate of 300 billions, and he's talking just for the farmers. We're gonna keep going. More couples, pictures of a couple in Bruce's Beach in 1920, and then another in 2021. And more comparison photos from the early 1920s to now. But families such as the Bruces, whose property was taken generations ago, don't have legal recourse to get their land back, Mitchell says. Uh, statute statutes of limitation restrictions prevent families from successfully filing lawsuits. Mitchell points to the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when white mobs tried to destroy what was known as Black Wall Street. Yes, there was a state commission. Yes, it did do a detailed report. Yes, that detailed report documented tremendous and horrible abuses and killings and burnings of businesses and taking of property, he says, but it didn't lead to one penny. It didn't lead to a single property being returned. Um, more pictures of goers at Bruce's Beach. Bruce's Beach. I apologize. Can you still hear me? Y'all can still hear me? Yeah, y'all can still hear me. My apologies. Bruce's Beach had a different outcome because the government actually stepped in to make amends for its historical wrong. The California legislator passed a law allowing for the land to be given back to the Bruce family, making it a unique case. It is the Bruce's Beach case. Is the I'm sorry. Is the Bruce's Beach case a recognition that the time has come for real racial justice in this country? Mitchell asks, can this serve as a template for providing effective redress to other African American families who have had their property taken unjustly? We'll see. Um, Activists are trying to help other families reclaim their land. During the signing ceremony in Manhattan Beach, Newsom recognized activist Kayvon Ward, as the driving force behind the Bruce's Beach movement, advocating for the Bruce Beach led to the founding of her organization called Where's My Land, dedicated to helping Black Americans reclaim stolen land and secure restitution. Mm. I informed the Bruce family that I would do anything in my power to help them, Ward 39 tells NPR, not only to get restitution for their loss of civil rights, their loss of business enterprise, but for me, I felt like justice was getting their land back. At about the same time, on the opposite coast, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 43-year-old Ashanti Martin was on a similar mission. The two were introduced through a mutual friend, and together Ward and Martin co-funded Where's My Land. Both say they were compelled to take action after the murder of George Floyd on May 25, 2020. I read about George Floyd's ancestor, Hillary Thomas Stewart, who back in the late 1800s had owned 50 acres of land in North Carolina. Wow, interesting. And that land was stolen by white farmers. Martin says, I think there is no question had George Floyd's ancestors kept that land in their family, his life outcomes would have been transformed. Again, comparisons. Through their organization, Martin and Ward are fielding dozens more requests from African American families across the U.S., hoping to reclaim the land. I don't think we can handle all of this within my lifetime, Ward says. It took a long time for the land to be stolen. It didn't happen overnight. And so getting it back is going to take even longer because there's so many obstacles and roadblocks in the way. And so the only thing we can do is to make sure we're dealing with this one family at a time. As for the Bruce family, they say they won't move to Manhattan Beach or build on the land that's now being returned to them. Instead, they'll rent the lifeguard training center back to the county of Los Angeles. Shepard, their descendant, says reclaiming Bruce's Beach was just the first step. Now, he says his family will continue their fight for restitution for the loss of revenue over the past 97 years. They'll rent out the lifeguard and training center back to the county of Los Angeles. Commendable. Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Again, just another picture of Mr. Dwayne Yellowfeather Shepherd of Bruce's Beach. He's a chief, right? Does that say chief? Chief Dwayne. Okay, so he's a chief. I skipped that. I skipped over that the first time. Okay, Chief Dwayne. Uh, he's this gentleman who's a descendant is the chief of this tribe or one of the chiefs. I'm not sure how that works out. Um, sorry. That's the article. That I learned some stuff even that man, boy, farmers. That's definitely something else to get into. Man, he said 300 billion. That's just uh man. Where is it? What's that tribe? I know it's at the end. Definitely couldn't. Um, the views are beautiful. Manhattan. Charles and Willow Bruce compared. Willow Bruce, Manhattan Beach. Descendants. I literally just read that. Oh, right here. Oh, how did I not read that? He's a clan chief of this tribe of the nation of the. I can't pronounce that, but that's all right. I'm about to check that out. Interesting. Where is this tribe based? Um. Hey, I shoot. I commend them. I commend the family if they do get rented back out to the county of Los Angeles. But hey, I'm hoping they get that money. I hope they get that money. All that money that's being put in there. Shoot, hey, about 80%. Hey, all they got to do is just cover some of the costs, and the rest of that shoot that better that I ain't gonna. In my humble opinion, that better be going right back to that family. Man, they said they ain't got no. They said they don't have too much interest. It won't move back. That's understandable. California is expensive, but that this is my last article on this. I'm gonna move on to some other things. I may cover the farming stuff next. I may do some comic stuff. I may have, but that's it. I'm glad I read that article. I read that. I found some other stuff I can look at. But that's it. On Bruce's Beach. For now. I'm out. Goshen. Nana nana.